Radical.
The situation currently with Southpark, Paramount, and Donald J. Trump is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. How many times do you hear a YouTuber put in their title of whatever they're talking about, the situation is crazy? I bet you more than half the time, it's actually really not that crazy. You know? They just tend to use that to get your attention. Well, this is appropriate. I've titled this one appropriately because it is very insane. And it involves more than Paramount, South Park, and Donald Trump. It involves a lot. I won't get into everything that has happened the past couple weeks, but I'll just put a laser focus on the South Park part of everything. First off, I want to say I'm very happy South Park is back. Seems like forever it's been gone. Seems like it's been gone for years. I love South Park. One of my favorite shows. I like it better when it was on Comedy Central and not on Paramount. I go somewhere to watch it. I went to shout out quickly for Watch Cartoons Online. That's where I went to see this latest episode. Because I'm not fucking paying for Paramount. I'm very glad that they had this episode up pretty quickly. Because I think it just dropped a day ago. Now this episode is, like I said, crazy. The situation is crazy. The episode is crazy. The episode, it reminds me about the time that they took on Scientology and Tom Cruise. Oh yeah, it has that kind of feel. You remember when Tom Cruise was incredibly pissed off? And I think for a while, they actually had to take down Trapped in the Closet, which actually had Tom Cruise and R. Kelly in it. They couldn't show that episode. And there was another episode with Muhammad that I think was banned from being shown. So South Park is a great satirical TV show. And many times they push the edge of what can be done in satire and both in animation and comedy. And that's one reason people really love it. But it's not just a great show because it pushes the edge. It does it so fucking well. And it's so funny. Even though at times it, yes, can be sophomoric. It's not highly intelligent Fraser Crane type comedy. No, it's not that type of comedy. It's a lot of it is lowbrow. But it's self-aware of what it is. And there's so many funny moments throughout the show. One that comes to mind was Cartman dipping Vagisil and NASCAR racing against Danica Patrick. That's just so funny. It's such a crazy show, man. It's not like anything else you've really seen on TV. And in this particular episode, oh my goodness. There was two things they were lampooning. One was Paramount themselves, who is the company that is paying them money, by the way. It's basically their bosses, right? So they're lampooning Paramount, and they're lampooning the current president, Donald J. Trump, right? But here's where things, I try to explain the best I can of really what's going on. Because South Park, they'll go after anybody and anything. They don't hold anything back, generally. They're not afraid. And the level that they are not afraid has to be commended. And there's a small possibility. I don't know. This might be the last episode of South Park that ever airs. And I think they're self-aware of that. The episode basically is them going incredibly hard at Donald Trump and Paramount. They bring up Stephen Colbert and the Stephen Colbert Show, which I guess I'll get this quick news out of the way too. That could have been a separate upload in itself, but Stephen Colbert used to be alongside The Daily Show years back. And Jon Stewart, of course, runs The Daily Show. and that was mostly a political comedy type show of its kind. I think at that time there really wasn't anything on TV quite like that. And of course, yes, they were left leaning, and they were basically satiring Republicans and the right. And a lot of those shows were basically about Donald Trump, lampooning Donald Trump. And a lot of what Stephen Colbert did, even though honestly, like, some of it was, I mean, it's hard to keep things fresh if basically all of your show, most of it, is the same thing mostly every night. So, but a lot of people love Stephen Colbert. A lot of people tuned in. Just like these late night talk shows, except for like Conan and Letterman, it's really not my cup of tea, Like Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert, it's really not my thing. But he's incredibly popular, and his show on CBS drew tons and tons of ratings. Really, really high ratings. He was the highest rated late night show. But Paramount axed the Stephen Colbert show, and the response from Stephen Colbert was not that kind to Paramount. I think he said something along the lines of fuck you or something like that. He might have said that on air, so he called it out as bullshit. And you might wonder, well, why did they cancel the Colbert show if that's one of their highest rated shows? And they somehow stated, I think, official statement that it was a money move. But no, it wasn't about the money. You see, Paramount is trying to get a merger done with Skydance. And that has a lot to do with the FCC, which is under the current administration with Trump. You see what's happening here? And also, Trump had a lawsuit against CBS/Paramount, I think for an interview with the past candidate, not Biden, but the other one, the lady, forget her name, who was running, something about that. And they settled a lawsuit with Trump. Probably settled a lawsuit because his connection, the FCC. See, they want to get this Skydance merger done. They really want to get it done. And, they want to be on really good terms with Donald Trump, right? So we have a situation to where what they do is they sacrifice the Colbert Show, which is a show that lampoons Donald Trump. You see how the makers of Southpark think this is bullshit? And a lot of people think it's bullshit, even if you dislike the Colbert Show. Doesn't matter whether you like or dislike the Colbert Show. This is basically for no other reason. It's silencing a critic like Stephen Colbert. It's getting rid of a show, not for any other reason, but to snuggle up to Donald Trump and to try to get that merger done. Now, Paramount, the creators of Southpark, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they don't like Paramount. I think they've been like jerking them around and everything. Some money disputes, I believe, the contract. So they're not on good terms with Paramount. And in fact, this episode of South Park, I think, was delayed 2 weeks because of a lot of things happening. They're trying to get the merger done with Skydance. I don't know a lot of the details of it. But that was a bad move from Paramount. Bad move. Bad move. They delayed them a couple weeks, and they gave South Park the time to actually, in 6 or 7 days, recreate the entire first episode. Because they're incredibly productive and efficient in making these South Park episodes. It doesn't require more than a week for them to actually put one together. So, man, did they put one together that was very, very, very timely in this lampooning of Donald Trump. Now, maybe it could be strategy. Or maybe not. Maybe this was just all done differently. Or maybe they had a certain show planned out and they made some different adjustments. Who knows? Could have been in a completely different show. Could have been maybe something that they were going to go with. But last year they said, when people asked them if they were going to, make some satire about Donald Trump, they said, no, I mean, we're pretty much done talking about We pretty much said everything we are going to say in that. And I think one of the reasons was they wanted to go back to having Mr. Garrison play Mr. Garrison and not have to put him in the orange makeup and make him be Donald Trump. The whole reason they had that is because it was a joke. They didn't think Trump would get elected the first time. And they were like, fuck, now we actually have to go through with Garrison being Trump? So they kind of had themselves in a corner there because, like a lot of people, back then a lot of people thought there was no way on earth an absolute, a person like Donald Trump that had never really even been in politics, someone that had so many character flaws, could actually be elected president. But turns out, when this person is going up against a very hated person like Hillary Clinton, well, hell, anything is possible. And that's what happened in 2016. It almost brought a tear to my eye, seeing Southpark return to such form and such relevance. It had been a while. It had been a while. Like I said, maybe since the Scientology stuff. They're at their best when they're pushing the boundaries and going against people, going against things, challenging, which is what great satire does. Now, was it the best satire of Donald Trump? No, it wasn't the best satire. But it served a purpose. Yes, it did. Oh, was it funny? Yeah, it was hilarious. But it was a bit sophomoric. I think many people will not rate this as one of their favorite South Park episodes, but this particularly was for a purpose. And I got to mention that this was done about a day after they signed the deal to become billionaires. $1.5 billion over the next 5 years. Matt and Trey are going to be paid by Paramount. So this is so insidious, but right on brand for these two to get paid all that money and to fucking bitch slap the people that gave them that money. It is chef's kiss, as they say now. In this episode, you had a return to form, I would say. And you had some callbacks. And you had...
Hey, relax, guy.
You had the return of fucking Saddam, man. So it's been, 20 years since Saddam was on their episodes with Satan? You know what I'm talking about.
Hey, let me smack that ass, Satan.
Oh, not tonight, Saddam. That was a fucking funny as shit, man. It was in the movie also. And of course, Saddam, was killed, so you thought you'd never see that character again. But what they did was, they brought back Saddam, but not Saddam, it is Donald Trump. And it is so hilarious. They put in all these funny, hilarious pictures of Donald Trump. They gave him this big, beautiful, pearly white smile. And at one time, they're in bed together. I about just fell over laughing when Trump stood up and Satan's like, Trump is looking at him like,
hey, you want some of this?
And he's all naked and Satan's looking down at us like, oh, it's so small I can barely see it.
Hey, motherfucker, I'm gonna sue you.
So basically what he was doing was he was threatening to sue everybody that he was pissed off at. He threatened to sue the whole town of Southpark. So it lampoons him in several different ways. Of course, he's got the orange face. He's trying to sue everybody. And, I've heard various reports. I don't think any of us have actually seen it, that he has a very tiny micro penis with a mushroom top. But even if he doesn't, that's the kind of thing that they would do to really piss Trump off. And see, even though this is over the top, not one of the best episodes they've ever done, over the top, very sophomoric, very, at times, you might say even childish at times, in the way that they approach the satire of Trump. There's even a picture I see now. I'm just seeing this now. I'm looking back over the episode. There's a picture when Trump is walking down the hallway, and he's behind. He has his pants down. He's behind a sheep. So I don't know if there's any reference of Trump fucking some sheeps, but it's just like I said, it's just over the top. There's so many pictures to where like he has tiny micro penis, and there's so many references to that, and it's almost like they just went all out to piss Trump off. Just do it maybe in the way that would just bother him more than anything else. More than anything else. I'm not going to get into all the details of the episode because it's really funny. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot funny going on with Cartman also. But I just want to focus on the fact that they went out of their way to make fun of Donald Trump. Now, why is this important? This is important because they took the $1.5 billion. And I don't think they mentioned what would be in this episode before they took the money. Paramount should have probably asked, hey, what's your first episode going to be back? Well, going to be about when you come back to uploading. Sorry, not uploading, but producing the show. Because if I was Paramount, before I paid them $1.5 billion, I would even want an advanced airing of the first episode. I mean, would you? If you're going to pay these creators that have been known to make fun of politicians, wouldn't you just find out and ask them? But they didn't do that. They were so hyped to get them paid, to lock them down for 5 years, to be able to promote that they now own Southpark for the next 5 years. They have the rights, the exclusive rights. They pay them all that money. And then they upload, again, sorry, I keep thinking about YouTube. And then they produce this. They produce this. This was meant specifically to piss off Donald Trump. And now, this could be, and they make a joke in the series about offing themselves, and this could be the end. You'll know what I mean if you see the episode. It takes some brass balls. It really does. Because I wonder if the content, it's got to be, I don't know if it's in the contract that they can't talk about certain things in the series. If it's not in the contract, then they got paid the money. Hypothetically, for the 50 episode deal, they have 50 episodes set up. They could actually make fun of Paramount and Donald Trump in every episode, if they wanted to, hypothetically. Paramount would basically have to beg them not to make fun. They would have to have meetings, or they would have to just, I don't know what they would do. Paramount's in a bad situation here. Because you know how thin-skinned Donald Trump is. He could probably talk about suing Southpark for slander. He could talk about, maybe holding up the FCC deal unless they get rid of Southpark, which is awkward because they've already paid them $1.5 billion. So either way, if you're Paramount here, you're basically fucked. You're fucked. And Southpark is not going to be in breach of their contract. If it's not in the contract that they can't make fun of Paramount, the parent company, or Donald Trump, if it's not in the writing, then they're not in breach of the contract. And they must know this. So this is perfect, Matt and Trey. This is exactly how you think they would be. And it's just brilliant. This is not one middle finger. This is not two. This is 4 middle fingers. 4 middle fingers going up to Paramount and Donald Trump. And you got to be laughing if you're Stephen Colbert, whether you like him or don't like him, you got to admit he got fucked over by Paramount. For no reason. The show was doing good in the ratings. Other than, wanting the FCC merger. You got to be laughing if you're him. And South Park, in this way, is fighting for people like Colbert. Whether, again, if you like him or not, I know a lot of you will say you don't like Colbert. I get it. I get it. But even it's not about if you like or dislike somebody. It's if you're going to allow them the free fucking speech to lampoon politicians, both on the left side or the right side. That's how we need to, that's how things need to be. You shouldn't be silenced for just criticizing. You shouldn't be. Now, what happens next? What happens next? I don't know. Maybe there's a meeting with Paramount and Southpark. Maybe they send people down and they just gotta love that, you know. I wonder if they're going to be really pissed off, or if they're going to be really like, "Hey, we saw the episode and really good episode. You guys are really talented. It's just can you tone down the criticism of us and Trump? I mean, you can criticize us, but can you just not bring back that character anymore? Because they know it, man. South Park got these motherfuckers by the balls. And I don't think they're going to back down. And really, outside of, and I didn't mention the big E word and the PDF files. I didn't even mention that. See, there's so many elements here. They even bring that up in the episode when I call him Saddam Trump. When Saddam Trump is in bed with Satan even brings that up. So they bring that up. So, yeah, if he wasn't pissed off enough by all the references to a little pee-pee and the orange pain and, everything in the episode, that's brought up. And this is done strategically by Matt and Trey, like I said, to get Trump to sue Paramount again, or to get the deal blocked. Now, how insane would it be? How insane would it be that Paramount basically pays $1.5 billion to the people that fuck their deal up with Skybound? If this is the end of South Park, I mean, 5 years are locked down there. If this is the end, though, if this is the last episode that ever airs, and let's say after they just pay him out the money and say, some people are saying it's the end of South Park. I don't think it's the end of South Park. But if this were to end, and this would be the last episode that they ever make, I can't think of a more fucking gangster way for South Park to leave the air than this. I'm hoping not. I'm excited about the new season. I'm excited to see, like I said, Mr. Garrison come back to be that character. Seems like Cartman, it might have a transition. He might actually go woke just to go against. You'll see in the episode where he's so sad. He's so sad that now there's no more wokeness out. And he has nothing to actually rail against. And everything is non-woke now. And he feels like he has no purpose in life. Now, there's something that was picked up, not by me, but someone in a comment section that was paying very close attention to a public service announcement in this episode, which was, I don't want to give away the whole story. I feel like I'm giving away a whole lot from the episode, and I want you guys just to check it out and enjoy it for yourselves. Again, watch cartoons online, type that into Google, and search for cartoons and you'll see it. One final thing is, there's a threat basically in this episode that they will have 50 public service announcements about Donald Trump. Their deals for 50 episodes. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. Maybe that's just something to scare Paramount. And in this public service announcement, which was part of a deal with the town of South Park in the episode, again, not going into great details, but there is Donald Trump who is walking through, it looks to be a desert, and it's created with AI. It's an AI Donald Trump. Looks a lot like him, but it's AI. I don't think it's an actor. It's hard to tell these days with AI. I don't know. It's well done AI if it's AI. And Donald Trump is wearing his suit, and he starts taking his clothes off because he's so hot. And I didn't really get or understand it. It just seems like they wanted to have him naked, so they came up with a reason that they wanted to have him all fat and flabby and pale, pasty. And basically he collapsed, and you see a little dinky sticking up. And the tip of his mushroom tip, yeah, literally, they go there. His mushroom tip has a little smiley face on it. And that's one of the public service announcements. If there's 49 of them in the future, then they might be pretty insane too and have the same AI person. That was done specifically to enrage Donald Trump, to enrage him, to bait him, like I said, possibly into trying to sue Paramount, or at the very least, piss him off so much that he doesn't want the merger to happen with Paramount because Paramount is airing the Southpark, who is now going after Donald Trump. Well, I think a lot of people right now are not happy with Trump because of, the E-files. Now, a lot of people not happy. There's a cover-up going on. I just don't really have the time to go into all of that. But that's another element of the story. There's so many elements going on here. There's maybe even another element or two I forgot about. But this situation is absolutely fucking crazy.